Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Also from my side, I'm Dirk Glaser, the Director of Sustainable Tourism Development here at UNWTO, and we are presenting today in this technical webinar another dive into what observatories actually are already doing and what we are knowing in this mandatory issue area. One of the 11 mandatory issue areas, the recognized observatories of UNWTO in the International Network of Sustainable Tourism Observatories are monitoring and reporting on. We have been in contact with many of you who are here today present as speakers in preparation of today's technical webinar. We want to make that very focused and in 70 minutes present to you the insights. We have selected among the reporting observatories those where we felt that their insights would be of most interest to all the other observatories. I'm very pleased to inform you also today that there are several observatories now in the pipeline, 2 more advanced to be recognized, among them Malaga and Bogota, and others in the pipeline wishing to join us, already working on their candidatures for quite some time. That's why we know that their candidatures are solid and interesting for our here discussion. If we just can show, Cordula, please, this the very first slide where we started already with the last technical webinar to disseminate the information on not only the webinars we are conducting, but also the supporting information which we want you to have more easily accessible, not only for the 11 mandatory issue areas, but we have started to prioritize naturally these areas with information on these technicalities from UNWTO, but also from other technical sources we consider relevant, as well as many of the recordings of technical presentations we have done in the past on that. Very important is an exercise which we are engaging in, and Cordula will present that now more in detail, where we are collecting indicators for these mandatory issue areas from your preliminary reports, your candidatures, from your technical annual reports, which you are sharing with us, and from sources which we became familiar with. This is an exercise to bring more understanding to the indicators used and allowing through that a discussion of which of those indicators are actually relevant for today's for your work and for today's discussion. Before I now hand over to Cordula, just a logic explained related to the selection of our speakers here today. We have the very first speaker focusing on especially what we will see then later on in literature and in the academic discussion being present related to indicators on solid waste. Then later on, we have selected 2 presentations on those managing waste and the way how they are using indicators in their processes of circularity. And last, we are giving them the floor to observatories, which are sharing with us then their practical experiences collecting information. Cordula, can you please take over and take us through the way how indicators are collected and what you have been doing over the last days? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dirk, and a warm welcome to everyone in this webinar edition on the topic of solid waste. As presented already at the last webinar on employment, we wanted to share very quickly some information on our repository that Dirk already mentioned to you. I want to keep it brief because we have a wonderful range of speakers today with us. The repository is on the INSTO website, where you can find on all the 11 key issue areas more information. So today I want to quickly show you what we have compiled for you under solid waste management, always under the aspect of being in a destination. You are a destination manager, you're dealing with monitoring, you're dealing with indicators. And for all the key 11 areas, we have the first publication that we also always mention is from the so-called Green Book, the Indicators Book from 2004, where we prepared the excerpts on this particular measurement area, like here, for instance, solid waste. So you just click on this and you get automatically an excerpt. But also other UNWTO publications that we have systematically revised, where measurement is mentioned, where indicators are mentioned, are reflected here. Under other resources, we are putting from other agencies also presentations and publications, but as well here, and I think this is worth to be mentioned, issues related to the circular economy. Also the two initiatives that Mrs. Orosevich already mentioned, the Global Tourism Plastics Initiative and our Food Waste Initiative, that also have their own websites, also with lots of information. Both initiatives also will be briefly touched upon by our first speaker, Dr. Filimonau from the Surrey University. Now, the publications that we have revised, just to give you a feeling for them, we are going back here to the early 90s up to the most recent publications that we have that are reflected on this repository. Coming quickly back to our indicators book from 2004, which we still consider as one of the main guidance documents on which all other future and the ones that were developed after 2004 indicators are based. Lots of information in there with the different baseline issue areas and the indicators. Here is just an idea on what you can find when you click the solid waste indicators site, the indicators that are mentioned there. And here are some examples of other sources that we consider relevant for any measurement in solid waste and circular economy areas. Now, going one step further, what we have done is we are revising, as you know, our INSTO observatories have to submit every year an annual report, so we are revising them carefully, also to see which indicators are used, which measurement frameworks are in use, and are doing an exercise where we see which indicators are used and by whom they are used, but at the same time, we look which sources they are using for which they need to engage in the relevant partnerships. So it's a very interesting exercise, actually. And here is the Excel file with our findings. Here we have put all the indicators from the indicators book from the 2004 publications, where are 18 indicators are mentioned. We have also included from ETIS, from the European Tourism Indicator System, the indicators that most of them are the same, like what the Green Book has, but also from GSTC. And we are putting here the 30 observatories, not all of them are reflected here, otherwise it would have been too small and you can't see anything, to see which are the more used, let's say, indicators by our INSTO observatories. And this particular work is a basis for further discussions with observatories, but also with the academic side and with private and government stakeholders, in order to see where do we stand with the current indicators, which are in use, which are efficient, but which one are less relevant now that exist, but also are there other ones in the circular economy, in the green economy, for instance, that can be used for the tourism purposes. So with this, Dirk, I'm already coming to an end with my quick presentation, running you through this, and hand back to you, Dirk. Thank you.